What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 252. Wow. Of Hobby Hotline. My name, of course, is Drew or the DH. And joining me today, we've got the man himself, Uncle Rich Klein. How you doing,
Good
Rich?
morning. Looking forward. We
Well,
have some really good topics.
that we do. That we do. And then also joining us, the man, Brody TK. Not the kid, Brody the man. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Good morning.
Morning. Good to see you guys, and thanks everybody that is tuning in. Please, of course, drop any comments or any questions that you have. I'm going to post the link to the show right now so you can pop on in, ask any questions, anything that you'd like all day as we discuss some of the crazy topics in the hobby that are going on right now. But first off, happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Because, of course, July 1st, Bobby Bonilla Day. I think nobody has a better day than him. But happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Another 1 point, I don't know, whatever it is, 1 point something $1 million every year he gets. So happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
It's amazing. Bobby Bonilla gets his 1 point, but have you seen some of these NBA contracts and some of
Yeah.
the potential effects on the sports card market where they're going?
Oh, I know. Oh, Desmond Bain, a guy that I've been preaching since he was drafted, all over my show. I love him. He's one of my favorites. He just signed a $200 million contract. Now I think that's way too much for him, but I think there's a lot of people that are getting paid a whole lot of money and way too much. Morning, Ziggy
I
Hammer
saw Fred
44,
VanVleet's
Mad City
contract.
Brew. What's going on, everybody? 3B, what's good? Hope everybody is having a good one today. So, Rich, Brody, let's dive on into it. Like I said, we got a lot of topics today, a whole lot of stuff going on. But last week, obviously, the big news was Fanatics and their terms of service and kind of what it was going to do for breaking, everything like that. And then well, after a little backlash and after everybody got a chance to read that, they had a town hall and kind of a round two on this. Change to cut round two, if you will, if this is a boxing match, um, or game two, whatever you want to call it, between them, the shops, the breakers, and everything like that. But looks like they may be walking back some of the restrictions they were going to do. But what do you guys think about this?
Brody, you want to lead off?
Well, the first ones obviously were, a little devastating at first, but I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see how these go. Fanatics obviously saw that they shops weren't happy, and shops didn't seem too thrilled about some of these, especially new shops, because there were a lot of new restrictions going
Yeah.
out there. So
They
Well,
shouldn't have been happy.
yeah,
They shouldn't have
oh
been
yeah,
happy. The stuff
yeah,
that they were putting in that original contract was absolutely absurd. Now, I haven't seen the update. If there is an updated terms yet, I have not seen it. Anybody in the chat? I know we have a lot of people that own shops. If you have any, let us know if they've sent out an updated and amended part of this. But I'm glad they did because the collector's dream goes right where I was going with this by saying Fanatics went way too far, way too controlling. And that's really, we talked about it on Let Me Hit That Potograph this week. They say they want to do all this marketing, they want to do all this and bringing new people into the hobby and do this massive marketing campaign and be closer to the collector and all this than ever before. But putting out terms like this and making it so controlling, none of that marketing is going to work at all because people are going to have one option and one way to do things. When it comes to something like breaking, if we're going to have breaking, you've got to have multiple outlets for people to do it in. Because if you give them only one option, well, all that marketing in the world can be amazing and look great, but if it's not exactly what that person wants, they don't have another option. So, I mean, it was ridiculous in my opinion.
One of the things I've learned in my short time in the hobby, store owners don't like being told what to do.
Of course not. It's their store.
And even though some of the guidelines, I'm not just talking about the breaking guidelines, some of the guidelines are actually reasonable to some extent. there's always been an argument as long as I've been in the hobby.
Yeah,
We want stores to be more professional. A
of course.
lot of this seemed to be, let's make the stores more professional, more of a standard, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but more of a standard way to do things.
Yeah.
And most stores want to do things a little bit their way.
Hmm.
And so your problem is that you're trying to do various rules for various stores. For example, the things about how many hours a store can be open.
Yes.
Our
Yep.
friend Rich Muller in Sports Collectors Daily did an article about a couple weeks ago about a working couple opening a store in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Well, they're getting there after work. They want to try to transition to full time. Well,
Yeah.
eventually they may
We got.
get there, but right now they can only do, let's say, 4, and I'm just going to make these hours up, 4 to 8 Monday to Friday, 10 to 6 Saturday, 10 to 5 Sunday. That's not the 40 hours Fanatics want you to be open.
No.
That's
I absolutely agree with Ziggy here. They went way too far, way too early. You gotta, if your ultimate goal is to do that, Rich, and to make them kind of all the stores that are under the Fanatics umbrella kind of have the same feel, the same kind, the same generalized cookie cutter type of store. You got to do that at an incremental base. You can't come in and just change everything about stores and you know everything that people have loved about them forever in a day. It's not going to go over well, especially in a hobby like this, and especially at a time like this where there is so much change going on. The last thing people want to see is a massive overhaul. And Ziggy had mentioned earlier that this didn't include just online breakers, but was for direct. But the thing is, there's also a lot of people that have big breaking companies that have brick and mortar stores. I mean, some of the biggest breaking companies all do, and so it's a very interesting time. But there's actually at least breaking news to me. I don't know if anyone else had seen it, but Steel City DW says that eBay just announced effective July 18th, my brother's birthday. Case, box, and pack breaks may only be sold by pre-approved sellers.
that was actually announced a couple weeks ago.
Okay. I
eBay
missed.
sent out letters to the people who were breaking, saying that they weren't on their pre-approved list, saying after the date,
Interesting.
you can't break anymore on eBay.
I missed that. I missed that completely. So I like that. I absolutely love that part of it. I don't know what you think, Brody, but I
Yeah, I
love.
agree. Hmm.
The eBay stuff. There's way too many people on there that those breaks were total scams. Now I could see them and see them from a mile away and figure out who was just trying to fill a couple spots and who was trying to just run a junk campaign. But a lot of people in the hobby can't.
And so, if you notice, and Fanatics was also talking about breaking, and I don't know how many people in the audience saw, and I believe I posted it into our group chat, that ESPN article about breaking.
Yeah. Yes, they
And
did. Yeah. Oh, and that was let's go on and say it right now. That was 1,000% planted by Fanatics with this, and that had because Fanatics and ESPN have a very close relationship to begin with. That was 100% planted by Fanatics with the new terms of service with stores and everything going on. This article was meant to shine light on breaking as they started to promote the Fanatics Live platform and all that type of stuff. It absolutely was a coordinated effort with them, especially when you look at some of the people that they interviewed for the article. But I thought that was interesting to see. I mean, hey, it got a lot of people talking about it. I had a lot of people that don't know anything about cards that sent me a DM on Facebook or something that said, "Hey, I finally saw something about what I see you talking about all the time on social media."
my point is, once you see an article on ESPN,
Yes.
it's big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that brought more attention to it, along with the eBay rules, along with the Fanatics letter. That tells you that everybody, once you see that much money in breaking, and I'm not talking about whether the rules are good or not. I'm just saying that that's a sign that you know that breaking has really hit the hobby consciousness big time.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not for everybody.
Right. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
This is a hobby. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can do it any way you want. You can collect any way you want. You can buy boxes, you can buy singles, you can buy packs, you can do anything. You can do only card shows, you can do no social media whatsoever, you can do only social media. There's a million ways to collect. It's where we get into thinking there's only one way, which is when, problems arise, at least in my opinion. Now, I do agree with a couple of comments in here. The article itself, I'm not going to get into the actual details of the article because I do think it could have been better. It could have shined a better light on it, I think, and they could have talked about a little bit more and gone a little bit more in depth. But this was intended to be a quick piece to just grab people's attention. And like I said, it was definitely a coordinated effort with some major companies involved here of putting it out at the right time, right near the national. A lot of stuff involved in having that article come out with it when it did. But in terms of the content, hey, it is what it is. Like Dan says, he can carry Collins if he wants to. Hey, I got some Collins up here too, buddy. Morning, Dan. But but yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. But Steel City DW has a question here, and Brody, I'll let you start off here. Do you guys see federal and state law changing soon on breaks as it pertains to gambling? We saw something similar with DFS a couple of years ago. So obviously, all this attention, and we've actually in the hobby been talking a lot about oversight lately and needing oversight. What do you guys think in terms of, are we going to see some, you know, government intervention when it comes to this?
I mean, I know our hobby's big, but I don't know if it's that big to get government intervention into it. But I mean, isn't opening a pack gambling? Isn't
Yes,
opening a box gambling? And you're doing that by
technically.
yourself. You're not doing a. You don't have to do a break to gamble. You could just go buy a box or buy a pack from your LCS. You could buy a box at Target. You could buy a box from Walmart, Meijer, or wherever. I don't think it's necessary.
One thing I've always been amazed at is, unlike stamps and coins, and we're still a developing hobby, business, industry, whatever term you want to say, we've never had an American sports American Stamp Dealers Association or American Numismatic Association. We've never had a national group that basically, I don't want to say oversees, but would settle a lot of these things.
Yeah.
In stamps and coins, there are long established groups. We talk sometimes, I don't think we talk very much, but in England, there's a really long established cardophiliac history.
Mhm.
And they had collector groups and collector clubs and some stuff going back 100 years. And that's something where self-regulation done right helps.
Yeah.
But it takes somebody to accept, and this is actually part of the whole Fanatics letter thing again. We've always been very independent, and we've tried a few times to have national organizations. We tried in the 70s, we tried in the 90s, we tried in the 80s. We tried locally various collectors clubs. Some of the collectors clubs are still somewhat around,
Yeah.
but we've never really been able to get any sort of a national association off the ground.
Right.
And that would take care of a lot of it, because then you would have self regulation, which
And
would
there's a way to do that. It's just it's gonna have to take some of, like breaking, for instance, if breaking wanted to be regulated, some of the biggest breakers coming together and putting together a list that, of stuff that, hey, we'll abide by this, and then hopefully other people agree and say, hey, we'll abide by this too. You make it too specific, things like that makes it look like you're trying to benefit yourself. It's not going to go over well. If you make it like you're trying to benefit the hobby, I think it's something smaller breakers would latch onto, things like that. Maybe you could get some type of self oversight, things like that. Otherwise, I don't know if I see the government come in eventually in some way, shape, or form. I don't think there's going to be some massive, like, just big all of a sudden overhaul that's coming out of nowhere or anything like that. I don't see that. And I don't think the way breaks are set up that we see gambling laws. I don't think maybe certain states, North Carolina likes to do a lot of dumb stuff. I wouldn't imagine if they might do it just because of the stupidity we have out here. But some states possibly. I just don't see it as some big thing where the federal government comes in or anything like that. Maybe possibly some states sometimes, but like it was mentioned in the comments earlier, it is election season, so I don't see anything like that happening at least for a little while because it's not something I would latch on to at this point in time, at least in my opinion.
And I see we have Rex in the chat, and without him having to go into too much specifics, I'd love to hear his reactions to the Fanatics issues of the last couple weeks.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Rex, please let us know. And also, Rex, I'd like to know, since you do own a shop as well, if you've gotten an updated terms yet. Have they sent out anything updated at least since the conference call that a couple of friends of mine were on, when with Tops when they had this? Have they sent anything out that's been updated yet? That's one thing that I was quite curious about. Ziggy knows says they should make cards with 0 hits, just like they did in the 80s, and see if it sells. Hey, I'd love to. I mean, they're printing enough. They never turn the machines off. They might as well crank another set out. But that'd be interesting.
Hey, that's the only way we wouldn't ever be gambling with cards ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Foulball says something that I want to get your opinion on, Brody, because I disagree just because of what I saw at the National last year and what I see when I peruse some of these breaking sites. But he says that kids don't buy into breaks. I actually know a ton of kids that buy into breaks, and there's a massive amount of people like at the National last year when Whatnot had that huge long, massive booth. I'm going to be interested to see their footprint this year on that note. But they had that long area. I saw so many kids that were regulars and that their dads were like, I don't even break cards. I'm just here with my son who buys into this stuff. I mean, what do you see in terms of kids and breaking?
Yeah, for me, it's honestly surprising how many kids buy into breaks, but yeah, tons of kids buy into breaks. And it might not be like some of the breakers you would think, but like backyard breaks, and I'm just using them as an example, but like breakers like that like intrigue kids, like those are the breakers that kids like because they see the fun in it. And I do tons of breaks too, and I'm a kid, so yeah, kids do a ton of breaks.
I mean, and also like you said, backyard breaks is a prime example. They do have a lot of young kids in their breaks, and one thing that that you notice on that, they're loud, they're brash, stuff like that. Well, I have an 8-year-old son who's almost 9. I watch the video, I hear the videos. I don't watch them if I can help it, but I hear the videos that he watches. It's loud, brash people playing games. So they're catering exactly to that audience that grew up watching that stuff. So there are tons of kids that get into breaks. Absolutely. And let's see, we do have an update. So from Rex, doesn't impact us as much as other shops. We've never done breaks and don't intend to. We can still sell on our website and other social media, just not on third-party sites. And there's been no updated terms from Tops, just a conference call clarifying and telling us we'll be receiving an update and an FAQ. Well, looking forward to that update.
Yeah. And I want to point out that 30 years ago, when this conversation about gambling began with insert cards, I believe it was the state of California required the odds to be put on either the boxes or the packs and started all that because you didn't know how the odds were and they weren't public. And so that, I think that helped a lot, because if you knew that a card was 1 out of 36 packs, it was a better card than a card that's every 2 packs.
Right.
Even though with the amount they published of some of those packs, 1 out of 36 packs turns out to be a quarter card nowadays.
Yeah. No, and Ziggy has a 100% right, and but only on one and I will have to preface only on one side of things. If you're buying in to chase a hit and not just buying in because you are collecting, I agree that it is gambling. If you're just opening packs of cards for fun because you want every card in that pack and you want every card in the collection and it is something you're having fun for, I mean, yeah, it's a gamble of what's inside, but are you truly gambling? No, you're just buying something that you want. But I do agree that if it has odds, it is gambling. And modern sports cards and packs, it is a gamble. It's just how you use that word and how the government language and stuff that's in writing and everything is written differently. You know what I mean? It's not written in just vague terms like we're discussing here. So that's where the big changes are. But I completely agree that if you're opening for chasing the hits and chasing something like that, then yes, everything's a gamble in the hobby.
And there are some people who don't participate in the breaks. They wait for other people to break the packs and then buy the single cards they want, or they're team collectors. And they will buy breaks if they think the price point, for example, Cubs works well.
Right.
And then that's fine. They get the team they want to collect, and on their way to 1 million Cubs cards, they've gotten a whole bunch more cards on the way. And so that's one example of how, to me, breaks done right helps people. If your Brody's wearing a White Sox shirt, if he
Yeah.
wants to go into a White Sox break because he wants all the tops two White Sox cards, and the
Yeah.
person ships everything, including base, he knows he's going to get the base and he'll get some hits, and he's a happy person. And the White Sox, I mean, by the way, what the heck is going on with Luis Robert, otherwise known as Lou Bob in the hobby? When did he start hitting a homer every day?
I don't
I
know.
know.
I mean, he was struggling. I mean, he last year, I mean, he wasn't even hitting for power. And now this year, I mean, that's all he hits for. His average, I mean, his average is okay. I think he's around 270, and now he's just hitting bombs right behind
Yeah.
Otani. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I
No.
looked today and he's 25 homers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, his card market's reflecting it too. People that like myself that held on to stuff way too long are finally able to see a little bit better return on some of that stuff, at least. So that's nice. And I see, Rich, if you do want a skunk on a break, I'm like White Sox, where you get something, just pick East Carolina. You won't find nothing. But I found that through my collecting career. Um, but yeah, so Fanatics, it's been interesting. Let's see. Steel City DW says, does Fanatics decision open a small window for Panini, specifically for the breakers that aren't designated by Fanatics? Panini should jump at this. Um, I don't. If I'm Panini, I'd kind of just continue. I focus more on my product and making my product better and figuring out how to navigate the upcoming loss of all these licenses and put more of a focus on the UFC, the WWE, the stuff that, well, they're losing WWE, but UFC and some of the soccer licenses that they're going to actually have in a couple of years. I would focus on cards and personally stay out of this if I was Panini, especially while they're scrambling to really they're still trying to fix a lot of things.
Plus, they've hired a whole bunch of new employees.
Yes.
Mhm.
Even if they have a lot of hobby experience, they're still new to doing product. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of the people they hired have not been in products before. Some have been, but most have not been.
Yeah.
And as such, you've got to also bring them up to speed on that.
Yeah. Yep. And Rex says that Fanatics will eventually require Topps products to be done all on Fanatics Live. Mark my words. I actually agree with that. I don't think it's going to be immediate, but I do think in probably 5-10 years, I think it'll probably be along those lines. I don't think by any means will it be immediate, but eventually it'll probably get there.
Does that mean the breaking pavilion from the National goes away?
Well, I guess it depends on what Panini, Leaf, and let's see if other companies come around what they do. Once one company has, we haven't seen one company have all these licenses and things like that in eons. So it's going to be weird when only one company has it. What these companies do and how the hobby community reacts to all of the products that they are able to put out. You know what I mean? One positive note. I don't know, Brody, if you've gotten a chance to open any or anything, but I've seen a very positive reaction to Donruss Baseball by Panini
Mhm.
this year. I've seen a huge positive reaction, which is all prospects and retired players, which is quite a departure, from what they had before when they could actually use the players. They can't now. So it's all prospects and retired players. And I've actually heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, I've meant to buy a box, but I've been buying so much wrestling that I kind of forgot to.
There you go.
But next time I'm going to get a box. I'm going to remember. But yeah, I've heard so many good things because there's so many numbered cards and you get
Yeah.
3 hits and it's about $100 box. So you can go and sell each of the numbered cards you get for $2, $3, and the
Hmm.
lower numbered ones for 5, 6, $7, and the autos for 10, $15. You can make your money back and more easily for every box you buy, like easily.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you don't get big time hits, like easily.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's been interesting to see. I've seen a lot of people with a positive response. So I think it'll just depend on how that stuff looks and what it looks like. And Rex seems like people in the shop like it as well, which that's good. So, I mean, I think that's a positive sign because that's what we need to really be looking at when it comes to things like that, Rich. If people in the hobby actually still gravitate towards these products once the licenses are gone. I think that'll determine if we have a breakers pavilion or the tops fanatics breakers area.
Well, one thing to remember too with a product like Donruss, once you have, yes, you don't have the active players. People love prospects, but people also love the retired players, and both of those people are not under yet. I mean, there are players now in the minor league. There is now a union. Could there be soon a licensing agreement, as there is for the major league players? I
Right.
mean, I know there's already Topps Pro Debut, and they can do Bowman, and they put them in major
Yeah.
league uniforms, but there's now a minor league players union,
Mm-hmm.
and licensing is the next step. I'm glad they're getting paid, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that they're going to have much better living accommodations than they previously had. That's all a positive. And then the next positive, get them paid.
Yeah.
All for all these years, all these team sets were done by grandstand and choice, and I'm glad they did them.
Mm-hmm.
But how much did the players get paid for that?
Oh, I know. I know.
And if they can get paid to be in the team sets, to me, that's a win. Even if it boosts the price of the set from $10 to $15 or $20 at the concession stands, it's okay
Yep.
because the players are getting paid. And then the and then yes, it'll be like everything else. Most of them won't make it, but a lot of them end up with, hey, their families want their cards, or the local people love their cards. So I'm in favor of that, and to me, that's something we haven't discussed yet, and that's something I just thought about. We don't know where that's going.
Yeah. No, that's very true. As someone that has about 15 minor league teams about an hour and a half away, and as a season ticket holder and a regular at Hickory Crawdad games, I like to see it. I like to see what's going on in the minor league level and stuff like that. So
There are some major leaguers that they're able to sneak in too, because
yeah.
I don't know why or what the rules are for the exact system that they use, but I know Masataka Yoshida from the Red Sox is on there,
Hmm.
and somehow this is the one that surprises me. But Bobby Witt Jr. is in the set. And I'm sure there's more that have been called up as well.
Right, but if you're called up after the cards are produced, you're
Yeah.
not you're not as thing that happens all the time with pro debut or heritage
Yeah,
minors. You
Yeah.
you are not yet in the majors when the card is produced.
Yeah.
Bobby
I mean,
Witt
Bobby
Jr.
Witt
is the
Jr.
one that didn't
I
do
agree with
it.
you, but the other people, it's like they weren't in the majors at that time, so I get that.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Absolutely.
Ziggy, I agree with the charity thing. As a person who has run a
Mm-hmm.
show for his synagogue's nonprofit for many years,
Yes.
right now, I got to, in fact, it's one of the things, and we'll go back to the Fanatics chat with this. I got a DM the other last week. Can you come to the store and pick up? We have a donation for you. And I went by my good friend Raymond, and we picked it up. And poor Raymond took 2 loads of stuff into the office. And it's really good. I've even seen some cards that had my price stickers on them, so that was kind of humorous.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
But so I asked him, because we got there before the store opened.
Right.
And I asked him, and he told me, A, I'm getting stuff from distributors, so the Fanatics letter really didn't affect me that way. But
Right.
B, he had spoken to a bunch of other store owners, and he had said not one store owner was 100% with the Fanatics letter. Everyone had some major objection to it. Going back to my point that it's hard to tell store owners what to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. Definitely. It's not something that they that they like to be told. Like I said, it's their store. There's never been this type of stuff. There's a lot of change happening. So well, I guess we'll see what happens on that end. I'm sure probably by next week those terms of service will be out, and hopefully everyone next week can provide an update or something along those lines on this. But I'll move on to a couple other topics that we've got today that we were talking about earlier. One big one that's going around right now, and this was a rumor from Upper Deck's website, and we'll see what happens with it, if it's true or not. But Upper Deck removing LeBron James from their exclusive athletes. He has been removed from their exclusive athletes page and is listed only as an Upper Deck athlete and no longer as an exclusive, leading many people to believe that he is no longer an exclusive. Now, me personally, if this was a website mistake, I would have thought it was already fixed. As of an hour ago, it was not. So he's still not on there, even after all the confusion. But this has a pretty big impact on the hobby in general, especially his market, because if he's no longer an exclusive, it changes everything. Once he's retired, licensed cards can still be made, things like that can still be done. So, what do you guys think about LeBron possibly being, no longer an Upper Deck exclusive athlete?
Everybody's ready for those LeBron James and Bronny James dual autograph cards.
That they are. That they are. And an interesting note, a Clutch employee did, which Clutch Management helps Bronny and LeBron. It's LeBron's company, Clutch Management. One of their executives just left and went to work in athlete relations at Fanatics. So there is a Clutch Management and Fanatics connection already, as he's literally working in athlete management. So what I at 1 million Cubs, I completely agree. I thought it was a 20-year deal as well. I think if anyone can get out of it, it's probably LeBron. Those deals are normally pretty ironclad. They're normally considered almost lifetime deals in a way, and it was going to really change his market forever. But it's going to be interesting because this is if this is able to happen, he'll be able to sign his Topps Chrome rookie, for example. He can't do that right now. There's a lot of stuff that he'll be able to do. So I don't know. Quite interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Rich, about these exclusives where after they retire, you can't produce the cards? Because it's affected a lot of people before.
Well, it's interesting, and I want to just go on a different point before I talk about that, is that Max just pointed about Upper Deck without Jordan, they have nothing. Well, that's not really true. They have hockey.
Oh,
and there
yeah.
was actually a big article that, if you read Yahoo News this week, talked about how Upper Deck works with the NHL, and they signed, I believe they're going to have the NHL contract for several more years, but how they work with the NHL to get various artifacts from the draft and from other places. And if somebody says this is going to the Hall of Fame, Upper Deck says, go right ahead. It goes right to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So Jordan, just so you know, Michael Jordan's brother worked, I don't know if he's still there, but he worked for Upper Deck for many years.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was actually, from what I was told, a really, really good at his job. And his job was not being Michael Jordan's brother. His job was a job, and he was a very good, he is a very good
Yeah.
very good upper level employee. So if that is a move to get LeBron to Fanatics/Tops, that is part of a historical part of the hobby. I mean,
Yeah.
I live in Dallas Mavericks. We lost Jalen Brunson to the Knicks this year down here
Brutal.
last year. Jalen Brunson's dad is a Knicks assistant coach. Tell me how that wasn't planned.
Right.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Danny and the Miracles led Kansas to the '88 NCAA championship, one of the greatest games you'll ever see.
Yes.
You can still watch it on YouTube. It is an amazing game.
Yep.
Gee, amazingly, Ed Manning was the assistant coach for, I believe it was Larry Brown.
Mm-hmm.
How does Danny get there without Ed being there? I mean,
Yeah.
it's normal business things. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense. And I'm a big fan of, hey, if it can get us LeBron James signed Cavaliers cards, signed Heat cards,
Yeah.
signed Laker cards, hey, LeBron James relic cards, even if they're just numbered to his uniform number, whatever it was at the time, or 50 or 25, it's something that could almost become a chase. I mean, then you could have really the logo man card of LeBron with real jerseys and real patches.
Yep. No, absolutely. Max says hockey isn't enough to sustain their business. I would agree with that, but they have a ton of other amazing exclusive athletes outside of Jordan that they can do, and they have their hands in quite a few other things. But hockey is a pretty strong market. It's much more of a collectible and much more of a true collector's hobby, I would say, than most sports. But it is a strong market, and it's been one of the big things that's been supporting them for a long time outside of their work with exclusive athletes that they have in their lineup, which unfortunately for them, fortunate for us, is I would absolutely love to see the hobby with LeBron James having some Topps Chrome cards again. LeBron James, like you said, having some relics, the Bronny LeBron duels. I would be interested. I wouldn't be chasing them, but I would love the entertainment of watching the hobby chase them. So I hope they get there. But Upper Deck, as the chat is mentioning, Upper Deck, has been in the news a little bit lately. They posted it again on LinkedIn the other day that the upcoming Lorcana set, they have a lawsuit going on right now and are suing the producers of Lorcana and one of their former employees, saying that they pretty much took the design, went over to these guys, I forget their name, I'll pull it up right now, and then decided to release the game under a different name. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if there's been an announcement, if that's been pulled or anything. I know it comes out late August. I think the 23rd of August it comes out. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that Lorcana game, what happens with that?
Upper Deck, I will tell you, feels I did not find it on a quick search, but Upper Deck must feel very comfortable because Jason posted on LinkedIn all about it.
That's where I saw it. That's where I saw it was on LinkedIn.
If you're posting about it, you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's something to remember. Again, I do not know any of the details, so I'm not going to get into any weeds on that.
Yeah.
I just know that if you're posting that you've got a suit and you want to publicize that you've got a suit against somebody, you probably feel you have one heck of a good case.
I agree.
No, I completely agree, especially if you're posting on somewhere like LinkedIn and stuff like that, where it's like more business people than anything are going to be seeing it. Because that's where I saw it, Rich. Multiple posts about it from multiple different people. So, like Ziggy says, I think they do have a good case against them. I'm going to be interested to see. It would take a very strong case for a judge that's just a little trigger happy to halt the release. I think it would be very tough to do that. but maybe they've got a strong enough case. But that Lorcana, I'll tell you from someone that works every single Collecticon, that Lorcana set has been massively hyped, and people have been excited about it for a very, very long time. At every Collecticon we go to, I see the promos, I see tons of people talking about it. Like, that's a set that a lot of people were anticipating. Brody, I wanted to ask you along those lines. How does the younger generation look at stuff like Cacao Hour, however you say it, and Lorcana and sets like that? You know what I mean? Are they into that type of stuff, or is that more geared towards some of the nostalgia collectors right now? Do you think?
I would think more towards the nostalgia collectors. Um, and I think a lot of upper deck stuff may be more towards the nostalgia collectors. And I think, I mean, there are some kids that like hockey. I'm not saying there are kids that like hockey, but I mean, when you have hockey and you have Goodwin champions, I think a lot of kids might, collect as much upper deck.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree. Ziggy says they'll probably settle. Upper Deck will get paid. Lorcana go forward, maybe a revenue share. Vintage card collector basically saying the exact same thing. That's what I could see happening as well. I don't think it's halted. I mean, unless Upper Deck really wants to try and fight something, but I think a settlement's probably what's going to happen with that. But quite interesting and shows you the value of that IP that companies have. Like when Panini was just broken into, a lot of intellectual property, a lot of product designs, things like that are probably on those hard drives. That's valuable stuff. I mean, that's the future of the hobby. So
I just want to point out I saw young John Brogy post in the chat, and since we always like to talk about the National, maybe not for the whole show, but since his family has been running the National for more than 25 years,
yes,
we're honored. We have whatever your official term is, Brody, but we have you in our cast today, so as one of our hosts. So tell us what your national role is right now and what you're looking forward to.
So I am one of National's official correspondents, and I am going to be helping them this year with the auction. And I have some tickets to give away. I'm super excited for the National this year. It's in my backyard. I'm gonna be posting about it all year. Super excited. National's gonna be awesome. Super excited. Be posting about it. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Super excited.
nice. Yeah, we've actually also got some tickets to give away as well. They're up on Let Me Get That Potograph socials right now. So if you want to go to the National, jump on in. That's awesome, man. Are you going to be set up with Tim again?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
official ambassador for the National.
Yep. And they're the sponsors and everybody like that. Tim Signatures for Soldiers. Always fun. I always love going to that booth because I get to see you and Tim all at once. I get to see how much taller you've gotten and how much bigger you are than me. I'm sure it's going to be a lot bigger this year, but looking forward to it.
And Tim always made sure when I was doing prizes and giveaways and cards at my synagogue show. Now that we have a smaller show, I don't have to do that anymore. But Tim was always very nice and always gave us some very nice prizes to as a donation. So he was not only taking stuff in, but he also was very giving, and I always thank him for that.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, guys, before we wrap everything up, of course, guys, if you'd like to call in and join the show, please. We've got the link. I'll put it again in the comments right here for you. If you'd like to call in, if there's anything that you'd like to ask, come say, please. We'd love to have you join. But guys, before we wrap everything up, there's one thing that's been kind of at least captivating a lot of the hobby, not necessarily the sports card market, even though I've seen a lot of sports card shops and breakers buying a lot of this product up. But the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set that came out had the one of one Magic one ring to rule them all card that everyone was looking for, that had a bounty put out on it, $1 million bounty put out on it. Beckett had an absolutely insane package if you pulled it with a really cool custom label I was hoping to see, but the one of one was pulled. It was graded by PSA, and the chase is over now. But what do you guys think about, not necessarily the card itself? I'd like to know, which what you guys think about the set and everything like that. But what do you guys think about bounties? Because we're seeing a lot of them pop up now on just about every big card. The Drew Jones, for example, was one of the recent ones, and then you had the Nash cards bounty for the card that had Nash cards written on it and stuff like that. What do you guys think about bounties in the hobby and the attention that this card has gotten, because it's everywhere?
In a sense, everything is a bounty.
Yeah.
We're publicized. Some people think it's gambling. It is like winning a lottery, but done right, it's like winning. It's like I remember when I was in Beckett in 1998, I got a ton of phone calls. And in those days, it was phone calls about the McGwire Sosa home run chase. As a matter of fact, there was like 2 weeks where I couldn't get any work done because I was getting so many phone calls. I was like, guys, cover me for these 2 weeks. I'm literally getting phone calls after phone calls because I am one of the 3 people who can talk about things officially for Beckett. And my point at the time was that the home run chase and these home run balls were literally something that were fan available. Right. You hit a ball into the stands, you caught the ball. You catch the ball, you make the money. In 1961, a fan by the name of Sal Durante caught Roger Maris's 61st home run ball and got all of $5,000 because a restaurant owner named Sam Gordon in California, who understood, put a $5,000 bounty on that ball.
Nice.
There was one guy, he ended up with McGwire's 70th homer ball, and Todd McFarlane overpaid, and he told you at the time he overpaid. But he had a business reason to overpay because he wanted to get a license for his McFarlane stuff to be licensed by all the sports people, and he wanted to show he was a serious sports person, not just a comic book artist. So he paid $3 million. In a sense, that was a bounty too. This is a different type of bounty, but it gets interest. And anything that gets interest is, to me, something that helps the hobby. And is it a form of gambling? Yes. But it's something done right, everybody can get.
Yep. Ziggy No asked the question in regards to Magic. It'd be interesting to see if boxes go down in price. Why didn't they use Beckett? I think probably, the Beckett package was amazing. The custom label looked beautiful. You got one of the big custom one card, like super protector Zion cases with a gorgeous decorated front, airplane tickets, boxes, all this stuff. I think it was just pulled by a dedicated PSA collector. Someone that was a PSA grader probably through and through, I think is probably who pulled it. Because there's no video of it being pulled. So obviously it was a personal box that no one was recording, or at least they haven't released a video of it. So unless, maybe they have shop security cams if it was opened up in a shop, but it doesn't look like there's a big video on it. Seems like it was just pulled. Dave and Adams was actually the ones that announced that it had been found. So apparently they didn't even post it to social media. They went right to the people putting out the bounties. But I don't know why they did. I would have loved to have seen it in the Beckett slab because the mock-up looked really cool, but at least we have, the mock-up to look at. But I like Dufex's of Life's idea. We need a reality TV show on card bounty hunters. I love it. And throw out some bounties on some stuff that's out there, whether it's cards, memorabilia, whatever it is, and go chase them down.
And in a sense, we've been chasing bounties for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't know where Bobby Thompson's home run ball. We've never actually, that was, the Giants win the pennant, the Giants win the pennant. If you haven't seen that, then you're much younger than me and probably even much younger than Brody. But Leland's put $1 million bounty on that ball a few years ago. Yeah. They never paid. And it wasn't that they wouldn't have paid. Nobody can conclusively prove that is the ball. And baseball's done some very smart things in recent years. When there's going to be an event, they put special markings now on certain balls. so you
Oh,
can
big time.
prove that certain balls are from certain
Oh,
events,
absolutely.
and that's very smart.
No, big time. Ziggy, real fast. I'm pretty sure, and I know for a fact, dealing working with Gem Mint, that when it comes to big cards like that, PSA a lot of times doesn't cost as much to grade as you would think uh, at all. They make exceptions on cards like that all the time in terms of pricing. Dog the card hunter, as Logan says. There you go. Um, I completely agree, but yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Drew, I think you also wanted to talk about the new Topps Chrome baseball product.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did, absolutely. And I wanted to know your guys' opinion on this. Topps Chrome came out. They, well, didn't come out, but they finally dropped the sell sheet. And Brody, I know you're somebody that loves Topps Chrome baseball too. I want to know your opinion on this. And Rich as well, obviously. But they dropped the autos down to from 2 to 1 and from 5 to 3 for jumbo. Yet they're leaving in the veteran autos. What do you think? What do you think about the new Topps Chrome announcement here?
Well, it's a very debatable situation, but I go back to I think it was 2020 Prism Football. They dropped from 3 autos to 2 autos, and those boxes people still buy Prism Football. They buy it like crazy, and
Oh yeah,
it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good product, and I think that the main thing here is that Topps Chrome. I see so many relief pitcher rookie autos, and as long as you have a better quality checklist on the autos, this will be fine. If you leave veterans in, okay, but we got to get rid of some of the pitchers.
yeah,
There's going to be some. There's going to be some pitchers. There's going to be some starters, but the rookie or relief pitchers have to go.
yeah,
Rookie or relief pitchers have to go. You got to shorten the checklist a little bit. The prices are going to probably stay the same. That's kind of how hobby's always been. They don't like
yeah.
really. It's never been like we're going to drop autos, so the price is going to go down. No, that's not
No,
how it works. It's
no,
never been how it's worked. So,
no. Well, and
hopefully,
also, hey guys, don't forget we've got the amazing and unknown taco fractor to chase. My God, we have no idea what it is. It's not listed with the regular parallels. It's listed as a separate card with only 5 copies, so no one knows if it's a parallel or if it's an insert or what it's going to be. But I don't know. A little underwhelming tease with a taco fractor. I don't know.
I do want to point out that they are also continuing the MVP promotion.
yeah,
Yes, they are. And there's, I believe, 5 cards from the MVP buyback in this year's set that are signed by Judge and Goldschmidt. Hopefully, they chose some of the low numbered cards that were sent in. You know, like the people that sent a gold in or something to really get some money on a hobby box. Hopefully, they used 5 cards like that and not 5 base. But there are some of that, and yeah, so don't throw away those base cards because, well, at least of the guys that might win MVP, maybe a Reyes and a couple other people I would keep. Um, but yeah, they are doing the MVP buyback again. But this just tells me that they're overprinting it like crazy. And
That's so. Last year, I had bought some Topps blaster boxes,
yeah,
and it was wonderful. I went to my local card store, Triple Cards. They were participating in it, and I handed them 3 Judge and Goldschmidt cards and got $60 a store
oh
credit.
yeah, it was awesome.
And it was wonderful because they were doing a Secret Santa trade, and I'm happy to participate in that because I'm a big fan of Secret Santa, which is a different subject. And I'm going to give them a little pub in addition to the Dallas Card Show in a couple of weeks. The Triple Card family of stores is doing a Christmas in July thing next week, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
And they have some prizes, I'm told, that are thousands of dollars. So I'm all in on that, and I was happy to talk about that, in promoting that along with the Dallas Card Show, in my mailing list. But I wanted to point out that all of a sudden it was like, hey, I know who I'm getting is my Secret Santa person. He's actually given me a couple big donations in the past, so they said try to go over if you can. I said, okay, I'm going to go over. I found out later that the box I got him he opened it with his son on Christmas Day and got the case hit. So I
Yep.
mean, talk about things working out well.
Oh
But
yeah.
that was exciting. I didn't have to pay for that box I gave him.
Yeah.
These redemption cards, so to speak. I'll call it a redemption card. I know it's not a redemption. Exchange
Yeah.
cards. They paid for his Secret Santa, so I was a big fan.
No, I love the buyback programs, and I hope they continue to implement stuff like that into future things, and not limit it to just the MVPs and things like that. But I do think that this is just showing that they're printing a whole lot of this, and I was really hoping, with Bowman Sapphire this year, they cut the print run. The boxes were, a lot more loaded. The print run was cut quite a bit, and Topps Chrome is iconic. It's legendary in any sport, and I don't want to see it get too watered down. I don't want to see the Sonic, the Cosmic, and all that stuff. I want to see it hold its recognition and stuff that it deserves, but it feels like it's being printed now to the point of Series 1 or Series 2, where it used to be a lot different. But Brody, what are are you still excited about Topps Chrome? You still looking forward to it? I know there's a lot of cool new inserts, autographs, and things like that in it too.
Yeah, I'll be excited to do some packs on the Daily Rip. And I also saw that if there was, I don't think this is going to happen this year, but hopefully going forward they do this again. That if back-to-back MVP, so if Judge won the MVP again or
Yeah.
Goldschmidt, which I don't think either of those are going to happen, sadly, but hopefully in the future Otani could definitely do this. It would be $40 for the base card, which would be really awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome, and I think Otani is definitely one that could do that for sure. So that would be really cool. Would double all the values, so that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and like I said, it gives you another thing to chase in the cards, something that's readily available, and it gets you in with a card show, in a card shop. It gets you to where you're going into the shops as opposed to doing everything online. So I think that is a great thing for the hobby. I love these MVP buybacks, but it is what it is. It's something interesting, but yeah, it was a disappointment to see him drop the autos. I agree with you, Brody, 1,000%. If they're gonna drop the autos, they need to also cut the checklist some, or at least beef the checklist up. I haven't seen a lot of Trout in Topps Chrome lately. You know what I mean? I haven't seen. Get some of these better players, get people like Luis Reyes, some of the better players to sign, and get some of these relief pitchers and obvious just filler out. Let's see. Before we go, thanks, Mad City Brew. Yes, you have a good weekend as well, and a happy 4th of July. Ziggy asking why not pizza or sushi fractors. Hey, maybe don't give away their secrets for 2024 and 2025, Ziggy. But we'll see what a taco fractor is here soon. But
I'm all in for the sushi fractor.
I am. Hey, if we're going taco fractor, I'm in for the sushi fractor. I don't even know what it is yet. We speculated on let me get that potograph. Maybe it's literal and it's a card that you could actually fold like a taco, and then you could pull a Chrome Mini out from the inside. I'd love it. It'd be fun. But sadly, I don't think they had near the ingenuity for that. So.
Okay, well, we're reaching the top of the hour. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or do we?
I think we're probably good to wrap up on there. I'm going to celebrate a fun time with my son this afternoon. Hope everybody has a good 4th of July. Anybody got any good 4th of July plans? Stay safe, have a lot of fun. Brody, how did baseball end up? I meant to ask you, did you finish up baseball or are you still playing?
I finished up high school on the travel ball, halfway done, so still got 4 tournaments left. So
yeah, we got about 4 or 5 travel ball for us as well for Jude. So well, good job on it. Good luck with all those. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Of course, you can catch us every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We will be back next weekend with
Drew, we're actually on Tuesday
show.
night. Drew, we're on Tuesday night. It's the first Tuesday of the month.
Yes. as Rich said, first Tuesday of the month. So we will be on Tuesday, since yes, it is July 1st today. So we will be on Tuesday as well. Make sure to check that out Tuesday evening. And then we'll be on, of course, our regular Saturday shows, always on Bench Clear Media and the Hobby Hotline channels. If you'd like to win national tickets, I know a lot of us here have a lot of giveaways for them. We've got some up on our socials now, so make sure to check them all out. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. See you later.